Welcome back to Marion's World, everyone. Today, taking this wreath onwards, and as you can see, I'm going to do some yellow roses. You can do whatever colours you like, but they're really easy, and I'm going to show you exactly how to get a really pretty few roses onto the bottom of the wreath. So I hope you like it. And before I cut you into the actual tutorial, I just want to say keep watching right at the very end, because I've got a bit of an announcement to make. And yeah, I've got a bit of an announcement to make about next Sunday, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Enjoy. I'm going to do these leaves today, possibly one of the big flowers, and start to just prettify everything up, I think. And I have got some vintage crewel wool in my needle. I've got my crewel needle as well. It's got a bigger eye and a blunt point, but it's fine for this because this linen is quite an easy weave to get through. So needle your fabric and see that your needle can get in and out easily. And then I decided it was quite fine. The vintage ones are a lot finer than the modern ones as far as I can see. And so I've actually doubled it up in my needle. But the way I've done it is I've actually threaded two tail ends through my needle. So I've got the loop at this end. And so this is another way that you can start some thread off without needing a knot. So I am going to go down just inside of the point here of my drawn on leaf, and I'll come up at the point and I'm going to come all the way through that loop. And when you pull it down, there's a really good start to whatever you're going to do. So I can just go back down there, and then I've started off with no knot at all, and you're ready to start doing whatever you want to do. So I'm going to carry on with satin stitch on this leaf, and because it's a bit bigger than these ones were, it's going to be a lot clearer. I can actually draw my midline on. I'll just draw it on, and basically it's just two curves, pointy at both ends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread from the outside edge, and I'm going to go maybe about a third of the way down on that midline, and I'm going to come back up on the outside of the line again. Now I'll try and get you in a bit, I think. I'll pull in. I'm always worried. It looks fine on camera, but then I get it onto my computer and I think, oh no, that's all blurry. So satin stitch, I can audition where the thread's going to be. So if you think, oh, is my needle going to go there or there, where's it going to go? You can just lie your thread in. And you know that you want your needle to go down somewhere along that central line. I'll just lie my thread, and wherever the thread crosses that line, I can put my needle down. And as you can see, it's maybe about 1/16 of an inch or a couple of millimeters down. You don't have to guess. And I'm going to come up, just allowing enough room for the next thread to come in. And now I know I just need to move a couple of millimeters down each time. And I'm doing it on this angle so that the leaf veins that would come out from the center, they would be following this shape. And so by embroidering in this way, you're going to make your leaves look more natural looking. I definitely could have chosen to do this in fly stitch. In fact, I might actually do some fly stitch leaves, but for the moment I'm just going to do it with the satin. And this little bit here, this little bit I'm embroidering over the top of here, it was just the finishing off of there. I just ran it up that leaf knowing it would get embroidered over, so it would get hidden underneath. So as I come down the middle, I'm subtly angling these stitches inwards so that I'm going to end up, that was the angle at the beginning, and they've gradually come round so that as I get to the heel of the leaf, my stitches will be sort of still being able to finish at the bottom, rather than if they'd gone that way I'd have been finishing out here somewhere. So I'm just going to keep angling them inwards so that the stitches finish where I would like them to finish. I'm still supporting my material with my other hand, and I'm going to just make that the final stitch of that side, or maybe I want a little one more on actually. And then I'm going to come back up to the top, and I'll just walk my thread back. Because when you're doing a leaf, it's definitely easier to start from the tip and move down each side independently. You wouldn't want to embroider up to the tip. So now I just have to match in with the other stitches. I'm quite happy that I might get a little bit of a jagged edge here and there, because these I'm thinking of as rose leaves, and so that's what roses are like. I can use that little jag to my advantage. I'm actually going to make this leaf a little bit fatter than I've drawn it, I think. I'm just going to go outwards from there. I'm just about out of this thread, so I'm just going to put that last stitch in and finish off by running up underneath and coming out at the top somewhere. There. I'm back on for the rest of this lovely leaf. I'm just going to carry on taking it a little bit wider. Don't think I want the leaf to be quite as thin. So that's the first one put in. It's nice to get a bit of a different scale from all of the really thin things. I'll just come up at the front and I'll thread through to finish off. And I'll definitely do a couple here. I'm just on the very last half of this last leaf in this grouping, and I've done one half already, and I've just come straight over the top of the twisted chain. I don't have to be worrying about it, just embroider straight as if it wasn't there. But I just thought I'd show you this last half, because sometimes when you're doing satin stitch, you may feel that as you're angling them round, there isn't space for where you want to lie your stitch, and so there are nobody's going to come and tell you off if you make a short stitch or a longer stitch. So I'm just going to show you how I angle round. So I've put that stitch in there, and if I go and do my auditioning like I did before, straight down there, you can see I'm going to come down to here and there's going to be a missed bit off. What I actually want is to angle those stitches round all the time. And so for this next stitch, I'm just going to do a slightly shorter one, and I'm going to lie it in nicely, but I'm going to make it short. I'll come up for the next one. This time, if I go in there, can I get it in? I can, but I'll make a slightly longer one, but not right down to the middle like the other ones have been. And in this way I'm going to get myself around the curve of the leaf. So will this one go in? Yes, it will. I can go right back down to my middle. And in that way I've got over the curve, of the leaf, but what I've also got is I've got a lovely fan of stitches here. So those ones are lying there, the middle one went in straight, these ones are here, but when you see the leaf as a whole, it's seamless, it just fans out beautifully. So can I get the next one in? I can do. I can go down to the middle and come up for the next. And really I want to be sort of here, so I'm not far off that angle, but I'm just going to put another shorter one in. So I'm just going to go to there. I'm sort of stopping about 1/8 of an inch up to my next one, and now I'm going to come to the middle, and that one has covered up the short end, and it's got me more onto the angle that I would like to be at. So now I'm going to carry on the middles. There's a bit of a gap on that one, but I'll just see if it bothers me or not. And it's closed up. So don't worry about things if you think, oh, that doesn't look in the right place. Just carry on and it might all just sort itself out in the end. I'm going to make a slightly longer stitch here so I can get the jagged rose sort of a leaf look going on. I'm going right over the top of my twisted chain into the bottom of where I know I'm going to be putting the roses on, or peonies, or like a big flower anyway. And I'm down to the bottom. So I've finished these leaves now, and I've just finished off in the centre of where my big flowers are going to be. And I've got little spaces here. I left them on purpose. I wasn't bothered about finishing off perfectly in the middle because I knew I was going to be putting the veins in. And so I've just taken a couple of pieces out of my tangle. They're not very long, but they don't have to do very much. And it's just sort of a reddish brown. They're not quite the same colour, but they're going to manage. And I've changed my needle to my pointy one, just a normal nice needle with a sharp point, and I've got a single strand in, and I'm going to just finish these leaves beautifully. So I'm going to come up, I'll do this one first, going to come up near to the point and do a straight stitch. So I just want some veining on really. And if you need to look at a leaf, just look at a leaf. Sometimes, even though you know what it looks like, if you look at something, you see things that you didn't really notice. So even though I know flowers and I know leaves, I look at them all the time when I'm embroidering. So I'm just going to do a fly stitch there and take it down with a little leg, and I'll come up again and show you that. So I'm coming up to the side, not right to the very edge. You could come to the very edge, there's nothing the matter with that. I'm just choosing to come in about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going along to the other side, about the same amount. I'm going to come up at the middle, just where I've taken that last leg down, and I'm going to come through that. So I'm hooking that loop, and then I'll go down the middle, and then I'm going to do another set of them. So that's fly stitches with a little long leg on that's going down the center of the leaf. And I can finish that one off, and there's still a little piece there, so I'm just going to come back up, split my stitch and take another stitch down. And I've got really nice veins on there now. I finished all of my veins. I still had some thread left. I just thought I'd try putting a little tiny running stitch along the points of some of the little jagged pieces of the leaf. Because when you look at rose leaves, the tips are quite often like a bronzy red colour. And I thought it would add an extra little bit of you know, a little bit of extra. So I'm always looking for that little bit of extra, and it's working really well. So this is definitely not something you have to do. It's going to be perfectly beautiful without it, but I'm quite enjoying putting these little running stitches on. And so all I'm doing, just got my single thread in, and I'm just going up the outside edge of each leaf, missing a bit out and going up the next bit, and I'm sort of just going past the point, so I'm making the jagged bit look a little bit more jagged. So there's where the stitch ends. I'm going an extra thread up, and particularly makes a good difference right at the point, because it's just extending the point that little bit and making the leaf look extra fine. So here I am coming up to the point, and miss that bit out and come up to the point end. Here's where my wool is. I'm just going to go that extra sort of 2 threads up, and then I'll come back down into here somehow and just leave that as the point of the leaf, and then sort of running stitch it back down just wherever you think a little red piece would lie in. It's not every little jagged bit, it's almost like a little running stitch coming down, but I'm lying it in with the plain of what I've already embroidered. And I think I'm going to do these flowers next. I really wanted to put them in last, but I think so that I can get a sense of the rest of it, I need the weight of this part to be done. So I'm actually going to choose yellow, and that's just because they were Michael's favourite roses, and so I've chosen 2 stranded cotton yellows. I've got a paler one and a deeper one, but they're quite close together. And I'm going to start with the dark one, and I think I'm going to use all 6 strands, and I'm actually going to go back to my crewel needle, and I need the bigger eye to get all my 6 threads through, and I want the bigger hole so I can get the 6 strands through the cloth. And I'm going to come up on the edge of, I've sort of just drawn 2 circles, and it wasn't really important what size they were, it was just to give me an idea of where they wanted to be. And I'm going to do a woven or spider web rose. So really, I should put my pen on first. So really, once you've got your circle, I'll do it with here, there's my pattern. I'm not really following this now, but once you've got your pattern, here, I'll do it here. Once you've got your pattern, you just need to identify the middle, and then there's going to be 5 spokes, like the spokes of a wheel. And the easiest way to get 5 is actually to do a fly stitch first, and then add the other 2 spokes in, and that way you'll get them the easiest sort of spaced out. So that's what I'm going to lay in first. So I've come up on this end, going to go sort of there and up in the middle. Put my thread round, pull through, and if I go straight across, I'll have a fly stitch across my rows. So now if I come up on the perimeter, if I in between those 2, I can go down into the middle, and then I can come up on the perimeter here. Now I'm going to go over the top of this leaf. The leaf's now going to be underneath, and back down in the middle, and I'll have my 5 spokes, and I'll just come up in a different area ready to do my woven rows. And these are really lovely to do, and they always look super. And the idea is that you just go under and over, just like weaving. So I've come up in the middle of there, I'm going to go under that spoke, over the next one, under the next one. And I pull the first ones a little bit in, over that one and under, and when you get back to the beginning, you'll be going over the one you've gone under first. And you really just have to keep weaving around. Now I do the first little bit a little bit pulled tight, just so I'm pulling that middle and getting it nice. And but after that, you don't want it to be tight, you just want to be a bit loose. I'm going to go round and round, just under and over. And you'll find that it starts to build up a rose-like centre. And the petals, each stitch, will look more and more like petals. Now I'm going to do this in 2 colours because I want the rose to look open. So I'm going to fill my middle in with this dark yellow, and I'm going to change to a light yellow. I think I'm going to change about now. So I'm just going to take my thread needs to go over this bit here. So I'm just going to angle my needle in under there so I can finish that colour off. And I've already got a lovely beginning. And I'm actually just going to walk this thread over to here so I am ready, put it there, so I'm ready to make the next part. So I don't necessarily want to finish that off, and I'm going to get the very pale yellow, that one, in my needle instead. Now these are quite big roses to do, so actually I'm wondering whether I shall do, in fact I'm going to do double. I'm going to double my thread. I want to build up a bit of texture. I've finished off down here, so I'm going to come up in that same place. And now I've got my 6 strands of embroidery floss doubled. So I'm actually working with 12. And I'm going to, oh that's the wrong bit I came up in, I needed to be under there. Right, and so I'm ready to carry on going under and over. And as the stitches get larger, they sort of come over the top of each other, but that is all what's making the rose look beautiful. So I'm not pulling things tight, I'm not making the thread lie flat. If it twists up, that's all to the best, because that's what's going to make everything look nice. And I keep going, and it gets harder to see the little spider web stitches, but you just keep going. I can see here, I can see my stitch. Just keep going. And sometimes you have to have a look for them. It's under there. Keep going. Don't pull, and sort of start and lift them up a bit, like that. And then the centre's sort of in and the petals are coming around. You can only just see this one here. Keeping going. And you will find that you have to look. So I can see that this stitch is going to go right the way over there to that one. So there will be a big loop. but it's just what it needs. It can just go around there, and all of a sudden there's another stitch there somewhere. I know there is, because I can't see it because of the camera. Okay, I'm fine. And I think I'm going to make this about the last. So once you've got all of your little spokes covered up, I can actually take my thread down to the back. And I don't particularly want to fasten off and waste my thread. Plus, sometimes I'm just going to come back here a bit, because I can still see this spoke here. I don't know if I lift up you can see it there. I'm just going to take this thread and lay it over there, and I'm just going to sew down and put the extra little stitch on. And maybe I can do that somewhere else too. Maybe I can do it here, and I'll just use the last of this thread up. And that's looking super cute. And I'll just bring that up there. And I'm just using the base of this next flower as something I can thread my thread through. Right, I'm going to do a bit more of an open flower on this one. So I'm going to get a nice dark colour to do some stamens. I'm going to use this. This is variegated. It's still stranded cotton. I've got 6 strands of this lovely stranded floss. Maybe it's too much. I'm going to change my mind there. I'm going to use 3 strands instead. I just changed my mind at the last minute, thinking that 6 was going to be too thick. Well, here is my circle here. You can see part of it where I've gone round and the rest of the leaves are holding. I'm just going to put another circle in the middle just to give myself the idea. If I come up in here, I'm going to fill this with French knots. I'm going to do 3 wrap ones, and I shall explain them while I'm on. So I'm coming up, I'm wrapping around 3 times away from me. I'm going to go down just a couple of threads away from where I came up, pull my knot to the bottom and pull through. Move a little bit. Do the same again, once, twice, 3 times, a couple of threads away, pull the knot to the fabric and pull through. I'm going over the top of my twisted chain as if it wasn't there. So this rose is going to look more like it's open. It's opening up and showing us how beautiful it is in the middle. They were Michael's absolute favourite flowers. I carried them in my wedding bouquet. I have yellow roses all over the garden. The ones on the front of the house are out already, but the ones in the back are just starting. Here I'm making a nice French knot middle here. I could introduce another colour, maybe a little brown or something, but I'll just see how it goes. All going to be 3 wrap. I think 1 more on there should do it. and I'm going to finish that off. So now I don't have a centre to put my fly stitch and my spokes to, so I'm just going to have to go to the middle with my short lengths, and I will just aim to get 5 spokes evenly spaced as far out as I want my rows to be, and I'll just aim them for the middle anyway, but they can't go all the way because the French knots are there. So I think I've got them pretty much even. I'll come up in the middle of one of the pieces, and now I'll just start. I'll keep this dark yellow one for the moment, but this time I'm already starting from having a middle, so I'll just go around. It'll cover some of them, cover some of the French knots. That's okay. It's going to just look as if they're peeking out of the middle. Not pulling tight. Go round. I think I'll go down with that. I'll go there. And finish that off. Right at the end I might just introduce that cream. Depends how I go. But I'm going to get the double layer of the 6 strands in now. Okay, here it is doubled up. I will come up on the next piece, ready to go around again. And it's just under and over all the way, particularly on this round with the doubled up thread. I am absolutely not pulling it tight, and all the crossy bits, they are just left to be adding to the beauty of the rows. It's so easy, this. It is so easy. There's nothing hard at all. I think once I've finished the end of this yellow thread, this pale yellow, I am going to put the cream on. I think that'll look really pretty. And just, it's like when you do the raised stem stitch, you think you've filled it up and there's still room for another layer. That is like this. You might think you've filled it up, there'll be room for one more go round, and the more you get it filled, the better it will be. That's that thread finished. Just going to ease it in. I'm going to finish that off underneath, and I'm going to get this lovely cream. I think that's going to look super. So here I am now, I've got my doubled over 6 strands, so that's 12 strands through the needle, or 12 strands that I'm embroidering with, and I am going to come up that side, and I shall see what I can get on here. Oh, that's lovely. And all of a sudden, you just, from being something quite flat, Just look at how that is coming along. Can't even see the little spokes now. It's just because I know where they are. I think I'm going to go there. So I sort of finished up here, but I still have the little spoke out here. I'm going to go take my needle down, just put some extra stitches in. I'm just going to sort of stem stitch it. Just go back, go around, just put them on, back stitch, come around again, get my needle in underneath. Oh, and once more. The needle's going right in underneath everything, and then just let that go where it wants. And I think this might be the last, although there's still thread. Still thread, so here I go, another one in underneath, and the very, very last. That's it. I can't do another one. And now I'm just going to arrange things. I'll just poke that on under, that's why that can go. I can use the eye of my needle to just, you know, fiddle it about, lift them up a bit. Everything doesn't have to be flat to the, can hide them a little bit more so that they're just peeking out. Michael did love them. I want to do another one. Now I've decided to do another open rose, but not quite as big as that one here. But I am going to do the French knots. I'm going to take it over there and just over the bottom of those leaves so that my composition looks fine. This is definitely for a rosebud. Down like that. And I'm going to put another rosebud here. So I'm just going to put a little stem in, a circle for the bottom of the bud, and then a petal shape on top. Like that. And so I think that's a really nice composition. So I'm going to put my little circle in, and I can actually draw the spokes if I want to. So here's my 5 spokes going in there. And that's my French knot bit. Back to my lovely 3 strands of variegated, and I'm still in my crewel needle, and I'll put the French knots in here, and then I'll think about how I'm doing the buds, which I'm going to try and do an off-center rose, so it looks like it's, don't know, hanging forward somehow. And I'm going to use this same colour to do the very tips of the buds. I'll start here on the end of this one. I'm just going to lay some straight stitches in, but I'm going to keep the top of that bud as pointy as I can. I'm going to fill the bud in, and then I'll over stitch it to make the colours. And I come down the other side, it's just like doing a leaf really. And I'm going to come up here and just going to sort of pretend there are unfurling petals. So I'll put lay one bit of pale there. I'll go back up to the top, just outside the bud shape. And I'll put this stitch right down over the top, so it crosses the first one, to get that sort of a bud look. I think that's all I need to do for that. I've put a couple of stitches of the dark yellow along here, but actually what I'm going to do is just get this finished off. I'm going to start right up here with my 2 strands of crewel wool, the same as the leaves, and I'm going to back stitch down with about 1/4 inch stitches, and then come up at the bottom and whip back up to thicken the stem but keep that beautiful line. Finish off there, and I'll put my little fruit in just with satin stitch. I'll just do a little helping stitch there to help it just be installed on the bottom of the stem, on the top of the stem. And then up here I need my calyx. I'm just going to put some sort of long stitches in. It's not exactly stem stitch, not exactly, you know, it's just putting stitches in, letting them go where you want them to go. Just look at it, look at the picture. I think the bud could have been bigger, but it's fine, I'm leaving it now. Going to put just a couple of pieces coming out here for the thorns, and remember, thorns point backwards because they're what helps the rose climb upwards. So if they were pointing upwards, they wouldn't have anything to grab onto. The thorns always point downwards, so that as the rose grows up through the undergrowth, it can hook onto things and not fall down. And I'm going to do this, and I'll start this one and I'll come back right at the end of this one. So I'm finishing off this rose here, and I thought I'd see what happened if I put the pale yellow and the cream in together. And so that's what I've got here. I've got my 6 strands of the pale yellow and the 6 strands of the cream. I'm going to put them together, and I'm going to do this last part. And I actually want to finish here before I finish this bit to make the rose more full at the bottom. So I'm just going to see how that goes. But I am still just winding it round. So sometimes there will be the pale yellow on the top, and sometimes the cream's going to get there. I'm hoping it's going to give a good effect. I'm just about full at the top. Keep going. And so now I'm going to come back and forward along the bottom, I think. Try and make the rose look full. So I'm going to go down and back up. I'll go down first and then come backwards, and I know there's a one there. And down there, and now I'm just going to come back and forwards making sure my needle is going to come up within the underneath of the rows and go in underneath. I'm just going to sort of do back stitches, very loose ones though, in the hopes that I get this looking sort of open on one side rather than full out at me. I want it sort of to look as if it's looking up, I think. Quite long stitches, there's no point in them being short. Just ease it where I want it to be. And then I think the last stitch is going to come here. Maybe one just hanging off as if it's an half open. There. Take this in and finish off. Coming back in with the eye of my needle, I'm just going to sort of arrange these until they look like I want them to be. And I can arrange them because I haven't been pulling them tight. They sort of, can see how loose that is. But that's what you want. You do not want them to be flat tight. And I think the double strand of yellow and cream has gone in there really nicely. I'm not sure whether you'll pick it up on the camera, but in real life I can tell the difference between all of those three. And I think my favourite is, I think it's this one that goes from the dark yellow to the pale yellow to the cream. But this is also good. I think that's because I like the middle showing. I hope you really enjoyed that tutorial. They really are easy to stitch, and by keeping the stitches loose you'll get a really beautiful softly petalled rose. Anyway, I've got my original book here on my knee because it is 1 year exactly since I started my channel, and it all started because I posted a video of what I'd done with this book. So the 2nd of June is when I officially sort of called my channel Marion's World and gave it a heading and posted a video about what I'd done with my book. So I thought that this Sunday, which is also the 2nd of June, so it'll be the very first day of my 2nd year on as a YouTuber, which is really weird to even say that I'm a YouTuber. It's just the most bizarre thing for a woman of, I don't know, a woman of my age doing what I do and always have been really private before. It's just a bit unbelievable. So I kept thinking, what can I do? I need to market somehow. I need to do something. And I've decided I'm going to do a live stream. So I'm not preparing any stitching tutorial for Sunday next week. I'm going to do a live stream, and what I'd like to do is prepare some Q&A and I'll probably just set myself up with some sewing or knitting, and I'm going to turn my camera on to live, and whoever of you would like to join in and chat to me in the comments that I can reply to, please do so. So I will be putting a post on the community page. I'll do that as soon as this video goes live. I'll do a post, and I look forward to seeing what you'd like to ask me, and then hopefully I'll look forward to chatting with you through the medium of the video camera on Sunday tea time. So it'll be Sunday at 6:15, that's my usual upload time, but instead of a video you will find me sitting in a chair doing some knitting or sewing and waiting to see if anybody decides to join me. And if they don't, I'll just witter on and chatter on about nothing, and you'll be able to watch that afterwards, because that's what I've been reading that happens. So I've got to just try and pretend that I'm videoing myself anyway, and if anybody decides to join in, that will be a bonus. So I just was giving you a little bit of warning. Watch out for the post on the community page, because it will be there, and I hope that you'll join me on Sunday to celebrate my 1 year on YouTube, and we'll just see what happens. So I expect a nervous Marion, and I have no idea how I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. I don't have any fancy overhead camera. I don't have anything I can sort of make anything better than what I've got. So it will just be my webcam on my computer, on my PC, and I will be sitting in here because this is where my PC is, in the corner. So I'll set myself up and go live, and oh my goodness, I will just see what happens. So thank you everyone, people who've been with me from the very beginning and people who've just joined me. I hope you will be able to be there if the time zone lets you, and you want to be able to chat in the comments. And if you've got any questions, absolutely write them in the community page, because I will be preparing some things I can answer for Sunday. And with that, I'm just going to say bye and thanks very much. I'll see you then. Oh my goodness, what have I done? Crikey Moses. I'll see you Sunday. Bye.